Welcome to session number 107. We are looking right now at SPX. We have our journal here. We're going to be going over the weekly recap here, some news from last week. We got some, news this week that we are preparing for, and we have some brand news that we want to tell you guys. But right now we have the S&P 500 at highs here. If you can see this, SPX is really ripping on some trade agreement news from the USA and China. You can see here we are seeing 52-week highs, and we see levels that we have not seen yet, and we are on our way to 7,000, guys. 7,000. That's another thing we want to talk about as well. But week overview, guys. We see the Mogul 30 trading portfolio here at 28.5, 12.33 here, or 69 there. We have a total brand value of 68,088.79. You might be asking, why the huge jump last week? What was it last week? Last week it was around 49,150, and we were inching away to 58,000. And you might be asking, why the huge jump? Well, guys, we are announcing that we are opening up another trading portfolio, trading account, I should say. So we're going to have the Mogul 30 fractional share, fractional swing trading. We buy every day, we trim accordingly. And then we are also now going to have the Mogul options trading portfolio. Let's switch the song here. And I donated around 100 shares of NVIDIA to start this Mogul options trading account. So we now have two trading accounts funding the Mogul stock pot, the Mogul crypto pot, the Mogul spending, and then obviously I take a cut as well from those profits. So Mogul total brand value 68,088.79 as of yesterday. Mogul 30 as of yesterday, we had 10,694.76 in market value. Cash, we had 17,715.58. The Mogul options was roughly around 19,000 ish of yesterday. We are in the process of trying to get the average cost from Schwab. Hopefully Schwab is a lot better than Webull when it's transferring over average costs, as we had huge headaches with Webull bringing over the average costs to Mogul 30. The Mogul stock pot we have at 17,022.31 market, and then cash, we had no cash, around $2.45. Mogul crypto pot, we have 2,168.52 market, and we don't really have any cash, $5.55, as we are investing heavily in our long-term investments. And we have the Mogul spending at 1,316.70. We do not know what we're going to be doing with that, but we are still thinking what we want to do with the Mogul spending here. Mogul checking, we have around $5, and then the savings around $150. So guys, that is pretty much the stats of the accounts. Now for the Mogul 30, the details on the Mogul 30. We capital freed up last week, as we did do some trimming and selling and profit taking. Capital freed was 2,026.81. Capital deployed was 3,900. Weekly profit of last week was $99.39. So that's where we made a profit last week. And then that total ROI, weekly ROI from the $99.39 divided by the capital used, which was $2,026.81, was 4.90%. So that was the stats on the Mogul 30, and then we will be doing stats on the Mogul options trading account, and that will be coming soon. As soon as we get the average cost, we will do some options. We're going to be doing cover call campaigns, cash secured put campaigns. We're going to be doing a bunch of different strategies, hopefully maybe some strangles, and maybe even iron condors. We will see what the future has for the Mogul options. So profit distribution, we threw $40 in the stock pot, $40 in the crypto pot, $10 in the spending, and then $9.39 was paying myself. So that was the total. That was the weekly overview of this past week, guys. So now for the past week news. Let's just go over it really quick. We started the week off last week with AWS experiencing problems that brought down the market. Apple hit all-time high. Rare earth deal with Australia. Gold worst day in a decade. I think that is also coming down today. That is, due to USA China trade agreement really coming through, and people selling off gold to get back in the market, guys. Tesla reported earnings. They missed EPS, but they hit record revenue, guys, which was Tesla's a huge long-term case study position for us. We have Trump-Xi meeting confirmed for this coming I believe it's Thursday, October 30th. That pumped stocks last week. We had CPI data come in lower than expected, which also was huge. Inflation coming in lower than expected, which is great for the Federal Reserve to cut rates. And then, we just had an overall choppy week last week for stocks, but, Friday inflation data, and, today, over the weekend with USA China, hopefully coming to a trade agreement, really pumping stocks today. Brand news, we are opening the new options account, waiting for NVIDIA average cost, and then we'll do cover call campaigns and other option strategies. And then we did want to also announce over the weekend, we did get into an event contract. Robinhood has event contracts, so you could bet on the platform. We bought 160 event contracts. We wanted to buy way more than that, but we only got filled for 160, and that is for the S&P 500 to be between 7,000 and 7,199.99 by the end of the year, and we bought those at 24 cents each. So that is the weekly overview of the account, the news that we experienced last week with the market, and then brand news, guys. So now we obviously looking at SPX continue to rip here over the news of the trade agreement. Hopefully this week we also have earnings. Most Mag 7 companies reporting earnings. We have the Federal Reserve news, and then hopefully with a cut, and then hopefully we could get the government. The only thing that's really hindering things is the government shutdown. If we could get that open, possibly before the end of the year, hopefully before the end of the year. Hopefully it's sooner than that. But if we get all those things, record-beating earnings, a couple Fed cuts, trade agreement, and government to back up, we could see record highs, guys. So now let's go over today's news, guys. So let's read this to you. The S&P 500 rallies 1% on pace for first close above 6,800 ever on potential China trade truce, guys. So stocks jumped to new records on Monday after U.S. and China officials cooled tensions over the weekend, laying the groundwork for President Donald Trump and China President Xi Jinping to clinch a trade deal this week. The S&P 500 climbing 1.1%, while the Nasdaq Composite was up 1.7%, bolstered by a rise of Nvidia and other chip stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rallied 244 points, or 0.5%. All three major averages notched fresh all-time intraday highs in the session, guys. I think we have a very successful framework for the leaders to discuss on Thursday, said Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent from the what do you call that? ASEAN Summit, guys, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The framework potentially includes a delay of China's rare earth export restrictions that caused the latest trade flare-up, the withdrawal of Trump's threatened 100% tariffs on China that were set to start November 1st, and a resumption of Chinese purchases of American soybeans. The agreement may also include a resolution of the TikTok dispute, with the U.S. getting a deal for the domestic version of the social media app. Let's get rid of this down here. All right, way better, guys. Let's see, what do we have here? I have a lot of respect for President Xi, and we're going to come away with the deal, Trump said on Monday from Air Force One. Chip makers, the sector with the most to lose from tensions with China, supported the rally Monday. Nvidia, as well as others such as Broadcom, rose more than 2%, Tesla and Apple also adding around 5% and more than 1% respectively, with the latter nearing $4 trillion in market cap. Qualcomm reached an all-time high after the company announced new artificial intelligence chips, putting it in competition with Nvidia and AMD. That stock was last up more than 12%, guys. So Qualcomm really coming in to compete with AMD and Nvidia. Here's a quote: "If we end up with some sort of a favorable trade agreement with the US and China, then the two largest trading partners are once again working together." Let's repeat that. If we end up with some sort of favorable trade agreement between US and China, then the two largest trading partners are once again working together. That would also be a very positive sign, Sam Soval, chief investment strategist at CFRA Research, told CNBC. A lot of the forecasts for technology have been without the benefit of China, so once you can add China back into the equation, that would probably be fairly optimistic for the markets. Here it is, guys. Big tech companies' upcoming earnings report are on tap, with several Magnificent Seven stocks, including Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta Platforms, and Microsoft, set to release their quarter earnings results this week. Investors also expect the Federal Reserve, as we were saying, to reduce its benchmark interest rate on Wednesday, particularly after the Bureau of Labor Statistics released slightly the cooler expected inflation data last week, CPI data. Small and mid caps are trading at a very steep discount to large caps, and so should we continue with rate cuts and the prospect of no recession. They also should do very well, Stovall added. Stocks are coming off a bullish week, with all three major indexes hitting record highs. Last Friday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average posted its first ever close above the 47,000 mark. The S&P touched 6,800 for the first time ever last Friday. All three major benchmarks posted their second week in a row of gains. Here's the last part of it, guys. While investors were encouraged by improving U.S.-China relations, a setback with Canada kept their enthusiasm in check. Trump on Saturday put an additional 10% tariff on Canadian imports in retaliation for the Ontario province, the Ontario government not putting its ad, which features former President Ronald Reagan knocking tariffs fast enough. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much what we are looking at this week, guys. We have obviously earnings coming up here, with most Mag 7 companies reporting earnings. We have Federal Reserve about to cut another rate. We're hopefully going to get some more cuts as this year ends, and hopefully we get the government shutdown fixed, get that back up and running here soon. And then obviously, guys, we got the big one, China and the USA hopefully coming to an agreement with President Trump and President Xi Jinping going to meet this week to try and have those presidents, have our President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping review what hopefully a trade agreement that was laid out. Hopefully they could agree and sign it, guys. So that is pretty much our weekly session. We have the brand value at 68 now, 68K, and we announced another trading portfolio along with the Mogul 30. We now have the Mogul options that will fund our long-term investment in stocks, crypto, and then obviously our club activities and giving back, guys. And then and then we made that profit of almost $100 last week, and hopefully as we could get these stocks to mature, and with record highs now, we could start trimming out as we were doing in the past in our Webull account. We just had to start over, completely liquidate the whole portfolio, and then restart over, which was very annoying because Webull wouldn't transfer those average costs. Hopefully Schwab can bring that average cost to our options NVIDIA position quick enough so we can start doing our Mogul options account strategy and get those profits rolling into our long-term investments. But guys, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to have a wild week ahead. Cannot wait for next week's session. Till next time, guys, hit the outro.